Hey guys, and welcome to your Money Q&A question of the day. I'm your host, Stacy Johnson, and this answer is brought to you by MoneyTalksNews.com, serving up the best in personal finance news and advice since way back in 1991. Let's see what today's question is. It comes to us from Jody. Jody says, what's the best way to pay off credit cards? He goes on, I don't know if it's a he or she, but anyway, Jody says, I've been told don't spend your cash. I have extra cash. I did use some of it on paying down debt, and I'm being super frugal right now, budgeting, not using credit cards or buying things besides necessities. A huge chunk of my credit card debt is gone, but the balance left is $8,500. Yikes! That's what Jody says, yikes. What is my best option to tackle the existing credit card balance? Now, he or she gives me three options. One, transfer to a zero interest card. Two, pay more of my money from savings. Or three, use a home equity line of credit. Let's look at each one of these things. Okay, transferring to a zero interest credit card. Great idea as long as you've got all of your spending leaks plugged, and so you're not wasting money and you know that you're going to be able to pay that debt off. Zero interest credit cards, you can transfer a balance to the cards, have zero interest for anywhere from a year, sometimes up to 2 years, 18 months is average. And you can find credit cards like that at MoneyTalksNews.com. Go to our Solution Center, click on the credit card link, and you can find some zero interest credit cards. But be sure you can pay them off in the time allotted. Like I said, typically 18 months. And also make sure, there may be a transfer fee. There may be a fee to transfer a balance from a high interest credit card to that low interest credit card. And if there's a fee, you got to take that into account because that's going to essentially be interest, right? But if you can, some of these cards, there is no fee. So if you can do a fee-free transfer and get a 0% interest rate, and you know you're going to be able to pay it off in the time allotted, nothing wrong with those. That's a good idea. Now, option two, use more of your money from savings. There are some financial gurus out there who say, oh no, you've got to keep a cash balance. You got to keep a big emergency fund. And of course, I want you to have an emergency fund. But let me tell you something. You've been working at the DMV for 35 years. You're not about to get laid off. So you may not, your emergency fund may not need to be as big as some other people. So if your job is stable and you know you're going to have it, I don't want you to spend your emergency fund down to zero, but if you're paying 18% over here and earning 1% over here, take some of that money out of savings if you're not worried about losing your job and you know you're going to have money coming in, and pay off that high interest debt. There's no reason to be paying all that interest if you've got money that you could use to pay it off, providing that you don't need as much of an emergency fund. Okay, last option, home equity line of credit. Nothing wrong with that either, as long as you've got your spending leaks plugged. So you hear me keep saying this. That's because a lot of people are using debt to finance a lifestyle they can't afford. So if you start putting your house up for collateral, which is what you're doing when you get a home equity line of credit, there's an expression in the credit counseling industry goes like this: buy a blouse, lose a house. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want to like sacrifice the roof over your head if you're spending more than you're making. Now, if you've got your spending under control and you're just trying to pay off your debt, awesome. The home equity line of credit could have a lower interest rate than your existing credit card, so it could be an idea. But be aware of the fees, comparison shop, all that blah, 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 and just make sure you're going to be able to pay off that debt and you're not going to accumulate more when you open up more lines of credit. Does that make sense? I hope so, Jody, and I hope it makes sense for you guys, and I really hope I'll see you right here next time. Later, guys.